Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to some more Let's Play Disco Elysium. In the last episode, we confronted the Hardy Boys, who admitted to having lynched, basically, the merc in the back of the Whirling in Rags. I guess we've got mob justice going around here. And we can't arrest them, because we don't have the strength to do so. This is really messed up. In any case, let's pick up where we left off. We're going to go ahead and talk with the Wild Pines representative now. And then, this might actually be the entire episode is just talking to her, because she has quite a bit to say, if I remember correctly. We also have a few quests to still do quite a bit here in Martinez. We picked up a quest to console the girl who was supposedly raped by the merc. I'm not sure if we're going to do that, because I don't think we're probably in the best state to do so. I don't know if I have the points in psyche and intellect to be a decent counselor. I'll make up my mind as we keep going, but that might be a quest I decide not to do. We'll see. All right, and that's all I got so far. Let's go ahead and walk down here and say hello to the Wild Pines representative. And there's Cindy the Skull, still cursing and swearing. Docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A. Your room in the Whirling in Rags isn't much bigger than this. This is worth more than you'll ever earn in all your life. Good for her, then. A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good morning, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting. She sounds like she's a bit older than I thought she was.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbor. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
She steps closer and holds out her hand over the railing. We'll shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
Haha. I would imagine, especially if she suspects that the lynching was called by members of the Union. Which it was, right? We know that much at least.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
Suggestion. It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful. You're on a boat. Why, yes, I am. She looks at the deck under her feet. Green and white sails flutter overhead. Does she have a name? The boat? No, it is called Cordelate 19, because that's the type of sloop it is. Inland Empire. The word it feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. Shivers. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone. Cool. But your boat really does need a name. Okay. How about Cordelate 19? Why? She taps on the side of the boat. It makes a hollow sound. Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelate, and its hull is 19 paces long. How about the X something? The X something? The X what? The Executor! Oh, I do like the sound of that. A smirk passes her face. It sounds so decisive. So powerful. What kind of boat is it? It's a pleasure craft, a 19-pacer. It also happens to be A-rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days, I mainly use it for business. Oh, she used to race it, I suppose, as well at some time. How do you like it? My sloop? I like it a lot. Her lips curl to a wry smile. It's the eel's hips, baby. I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating. You spit the corpse. I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, accessing her. Not a lot of people on boats, are there? Of course there are, she looks around. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Wait, we're on an archipelago? Look around. Yes, we are. She raises her brow. We're on Lake Hallyu. Still, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here. I haven't seen anyone else drive the souped-up Kupri's Kinema motor carriage either. Actually, the lieutenant becomes offensive. That motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It is for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy. And neither is this. The woman passed the cabin hardtop. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands. Authority. She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps. Do you have a license for this boat? Officer, I assure you, I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator. Perception. The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Half-light. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license? Can I see your license? I just renewed its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one, but 2 Insulandic regattas. Even finished once. What happened the other time? The other time I would have finished the race were it not for an urgent work matter. Much like the one I'm on now. That's good enough for me. Why wouldn't it be? This is Revachol, Wayfarer Act and all. Anyone can drive a boat. I think I have a handle on the boat thing. Good. She takes a sip of her thermal cup. And I think I'll take a sip of my soda. Well, tell me about Wild Pines. What do you do? What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. So, what do they do? The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. She points to the small dots on the horizon. See those airships there? Blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. Then to the east towards the harbor, and that is the terminal. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought this was her continuing her sentence. This is her pointing in another direction. Then to the east towards the harbor, and that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. How much money does Wild Pines have? It's not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year the company booked more than 20 billion rial in revenue. Encyclopedia. Billion. Numbers like that mean nothing to me. Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary. But they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous responsibility. I wonder how much 20 billion Rial evenly would go into 72,000 people. My math is bad. Let's move on. Where does Wild Pines get all these billions? They started as an exploration and cargo fleet, conducting trade between the Samaran and the Insulian Islas 250 years ago, when Pine's ships explored the South Semines and charted Lo Manthang on behalf of the Suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the Great Unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taking everything from its employees to build it. What does such a huge system want with a place like this? You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners? She gives you a little smile. Who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo. 8% of all the cargo in the world. That's quite an endeavor indeed. She nods forcibly. There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a small system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen. Suggestion. With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone. What can you tell me about this lynching? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. She falls silent for a moment, contemplating something. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers. Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. Lieutenant hands her a piece of blue plastic. I'm Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. He points to you. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41, Detective DeBoy. I'm afraid Harry doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice. Oh. And what happened to yours, Detective? She returns the lieutenant's badge and turns to you. Empathy. Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events. Remember when my partner told you I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it. I see. She looks increasingly worried. So you are saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. This world, this city, nothing. Oh, dear. She sighs with confusion, sadness even. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you'd gain by faking such a condition. As I said, ma'am, Lieutenant interjects. His technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM. Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge. Suggestion. Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. Suggestion. What kind of arrangement would it be? I mean, favors for favors. A dirty alliance of some sort. Feelings will guide the way. But, madam, I need to know about this lynching. It's very important to me. It's the case I'm solving. I assure you, it's no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge from me as soon as possible. You don't understand. It's not like a side case for me. This is my main thing. Trust me, officer. I am fully committed to resolving this impasse. This isn't some side gig for me, either. You have so much else. I only have this. This is the entirety of my existence. She's silent. The wind flaps a sail above her. This boat, for example. and a home somewhere, I only have this case. Officer. The carbon fiber hull creaks. I don't remember. I will go with this one. This case is what I will be known by. You know, she puts her foot on the guard wire. I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt. You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're getting in somehow. I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible. Like what? The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbor. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the RCM either. Perhaps it's time to look into it. Or you could find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause. Detective. Lieutenant closes his notebook. A word in private before we continue. Excuse us for a moment, madam.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
How did you hope it would go? Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance and, you know, not volunteer us to be her henchmen. Oh, so we're henchmen now? This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands. Empathy. He doesn't let it show, but there's a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation. What do you propose? That we don't investigate the drug trafficking? No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we're siding with the Union, or that we're on her take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. He adjusts his glasses. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done, and demand her information on the lynching. We could, you know, find my badge. Or, he nods slowly. That would be fantastic. But do we have the time? The world is large, and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters. You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months. Let's get back to her then. Also, we picked up another thought. Let's take a look at this really quick. The 15th Indo tribe. Wild Pines, Feld, Copris, Tricentennial, Villiers, and La Salle. The names of Revacholian Indio tribes spring into your head, set loose at the mention of wild pines. Royal monopolies, octopuses, and swordfish, most of them gone now. YBP, Expander, St. Baptiste, Brightest Star, Lum, Resplendent, East Insulandenk, I can't pronounce that, Welter, and El Cassette. But isn't one missing? Wait, no, there were only 14. Then why do you feel like there was a 5th Indio tribe? So these must... Indio tribe is another term for giant company? Is that what this is? I think that's what this is. Do we want to learn this? Once I do so, whatever it gives us, we're stuck with it. This would be a good time, though, to begin learning it, because a conversation with her can last a very long time. Let's... Oh, I don't know. Maybe? So the problem with thoughts and the thought cabinet is that I don't know what they do for you upon completing them. There's no temporary research bonus at all while we're thinking about this one. And I wanted to put this extra skill point into perception to give us another chance at the corpse down below. But we'll probably earn enough experience points talking to Joyce to earn that. Alright. My thought also is that if I do try to learn this, I might want another thought cabinet opened up. Let's go ahead and we'll process this. Maybe it'll give us some information about Wild Pines and help us in conversations in regards to this company and or other companies.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Okay. Tell me about this alleged drug trafficking. It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samarian Isla into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years. Ingredients for what, ma'am? Meth and dextroamphetamine, I can't pronounce that. GBL and various synthetic, I can't pronounce that either. Psychedelics, there we go. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from this stuff. Let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal. Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here. Wild Pines seems to be well appraised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean. We're in logistics. It's our business to know, and no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. And you want us to investigate? Yes. But you won't get anything out of Everett and the Dark Workers Union. Still, she raises her bony finger, every chain has a wink link. Am I going to need bolt cutters for this? Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. She gives you a knowing look. Perception. Her irises are light green, like the River Esperance in bright daylight, upstream, where it's clearer. Thank you, Perception? I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you. Authority. You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the Union in another. It's no coincidence the lorries are stranded there like that, is it? No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, she pauses, looking into the sea. This is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. She looks north. Thousands of liters of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west, the vulnerable, the weary. Shivers. A cold breath rushes in from the Bray, making its way down the alleyways and potholed streets from Martinez to Jamrock. In the traffic, you hear the clinking of glass vials concealed beneath tarpaulin. Or is it just your teeth chattering in the cold? Fucking misery. A lot of it, she nods. It comes in from large Samarian factories in Tenon, Segai, and Hisan-Yao. The litterage they must get from this terminal alone must be oceanic. Well, at least this solves one mystery. What is that, Lieutenant? Why I had to call East Motor Tract and beg them to open the drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in on my motor carriage. I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kitsuragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you'll understand. Why didn't you come to the RCM earlier? We did, on more than one occasion. Apparently there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under. We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence. Well, she smiles and points towards the roundabout. Here's your chance, officers. Do you have any proof that the Union's involved? How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight. There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it. With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide 2,000 men's salaries. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. So you think the strike is being funded with source ingredients for drugs? Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely. Then loaded onto the lorries to be driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you. Suggestion. It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type for your typical lorryman would confide in. I don't know if we should mention this. Okay, I made up my mind about the smuggling investigation. Yes, we'll take this case, probe the drivers, see what it yields. Excellent. She takes a long sip of tea. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance. She takes another long sip from her seemingly bottomless thermal cup. What can you tell me about this strike? Everything, she smiles. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. What is your role in this precisely? I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer. And how are the talks going? They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2.2 meter racist behemoth blocking the gates. Oh, you mean Measurehead? Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead. She leans back and rolls her eyes. How were the talks going before the lynching? Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived. And when did you first arrive? I arrived 3 weeks ago. She thinks. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM. He looks at his notes. But the strike began in December. I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Galmont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Galmont, despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations. This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike. Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time the demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. What are their demands? There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh, yes. Every worker, a member of the board. Seems like they have no idea about business. In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker a member of the board. Most of them probably don't even know what that means. Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs a signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of the Wild Pines group. The workers can't be kings, the king is king. That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start. What are you going to do? I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery, but there's been no follow-up. Just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, a disastrous situation if there ever was one. Well, to be fair, Joyce, this person is not just any ordinary person. Right? We have a reason to believe, if the Hardy Boys can be even believed, that it was a merc and someone who was put there to instigate problems. And the Hardy Boys believe Joyce and or Wild Pines is behind his hiring and coming here. Excuse me, the lieutenant looks up from his notes. From whom did you hear about this lynching? Her reply comes quick. I first heard it from the boya at the gates, the one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was call me mañana. What happened to this Gaumont? Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? She pauses to compose herself. Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Not cool. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him, and the Union. Authority. Sounds like usual aggressive posturing. What do you think of Everard? Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you could say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Really? Of course not. Everett is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, vicious goo where you and I have blood. That's Everett, alright. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably how do I say this? Nepotistic, then it's his twin brother Edgar. I remember hearing something about this Edgar. Have you seen him? No. Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everett does. And when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. What about the Union itself, outside the Brothers Clare? The Debardiers? The Debardiers Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. She adjusts her hair. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a, how do you say... She hesitates looking for the right expression. A mob. Lieutenant says succinctly. The débardeurs are a crime syndicate, sad as it may be. We're forced to cooperate with them. Refreshingly honest, officer, she nods. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Evrart and his brother. She turns to you. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see, she explains. Would you say... Oh, wait, that's weird. There's, like, several quotes here. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... a giant leech sucking the life out of Revachol? If they're a crime syndicate, I think that's what Sam's opinion would be. Indeed. And a hungry one, she nods. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the leech always hungers. One more thing. You said something happened in the elections. Ah, I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared. Disappeared. Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Some kind of extortion, probably. Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him. Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine. The scabs at the gate. Did you put them there? The scabs? She raises her brow. You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least. Rhetoric. It's implied she's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion. That's all I need here. Let's change the topic. Of course. She passes the thermocup between her gloved hands. How else can I help? Do you know something about these tattoos? That's the man who was killed. She almost takes the photo, but then stops. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Why? How is he looking at the photo tied to the lynching? Better not to tie the forestay to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with. Empathy. She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it. By the way, I've talked to Evrart Clare. Have you? She smiles carefully. And how did you like Mr. Clare? Physical instrument. Finally. Time to choose sides. I did not like him at all. So I didn't would be a fair answer. That's not right at all. I don't think he's a hero of the workers' movement. I don't think I want to call him a rainbow socialist. I don't know if he's reasonable. I don't know if Sam would swear fealty to Joyce and the cause of capital. I think I'll choose I didn't. Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually, she answers her own question. Corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic, worm-like corruption reaching to the bowels of the earth. She looks at the ground and nods. The position of my unusual colleague does not reflect official policy. I hope you understand. The RCM does not pick sides. Of course, and I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I am not a corrupt worm myself. She turns to you. However, if you felt like discussing something, How could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be, she smiles, gossiping. Conceptualization. Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things. Electrochemistry. Tell her. She'll like you for it. Horrific necktie. Yes. Your disgusting tie agrees completely. Let's gossip. I helped him turn up the heat on the borscht. Did you now? She's intrigued, if a little confused. What sort of borscht is he making? The cook makes it to keep the strikers drunk. Helps them strike. The strike brew, she nods. That's a classic. By turn up the heat, I presume you mean put more alcohol in it. Nope, you misunderstand. I turned the knob like this. Turn the heat down. Beyond curious. I will choose to interpret that as you turning the alcohol in the strike brew down, for the sake of our professional relationship. And because I don't like the idea of any more drunk than they already are, she nods. What else? I'd rather talk about something else for now, if you don't mind. Of course, detective. She simmers. Wow, what the heck happened there? She simmers down. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with? You seem smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this, reality we're in. This reality. She pulls her hood closer around her neck. It's related to that medical episode. I have trouble remembering even the most basic terms of reality. Ah, yes, the episode. Sounds like an acute case of of a problem now that I think of it. She puts down her thermal cup and looks at you. Don't be fazed, madam. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality. We may be here a while, then. She takes a long sip of tea. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can. Encyclopedia. All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay? Where are we? We're in Martinez, baby. And what is Martinez? Martinez is a district of Revachol. She looks around, her green raincoat flapping in the wind. A very small district, tucked away near the industrial harbor, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the revolution. She shrugs. It has its charms. Just not this time of year. You mentioned a sea. What sea is this? It's not really a sea. It's the Bay of Revachol, and the bay feeds into the ocean. Are we near the ocean? Yes, we're in an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulundic Inland Empire, vast, lukewarm, and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight. What's the name of this island? Kalu, as you already know. She looks to the waters. Imagine a pebble, a smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance, and we're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary. Is it clear this... It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her. Conceptualization. End to humanity at large. Tell me more about Martinez. I am not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. She closes her eyes. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. She opens them. This place used to be a province, a worker's resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. Okay, that's Martinez. What about Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city. What kind of city is Revachol? The great kind. Inland Empire. It's set as if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism. A fact. What makes Revachol great? History, detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries. When was Revachol built? In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago. Okay, who built this city? The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from the Semine and Ilmara, depending upon your creed. And why will it resolve history? They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, and the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men. Why here? We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulandic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. She smiles. It's where the money is. So we're in an unimportant part of an important place. I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about... She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise. Perception. A collection of tall ghosts behind the water vapor, light reflecting off their glass windows. 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insurcom, Coalition Government, Insulundian Mission Command. Look to the sea. Silence. She lowers her head. Inland Empire. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. Shivers. There is no recognition. Only the immensity of the sea, and the cold radiating from it. Say nothing. Observe the large body. Oh, no, Sam would talk. Where are we? We are where we are. I have no true answer to give, unfortunately. She watches you closely as you scan the horizon. In an empire, this is one thought you need to complete. Where are you? Jamais vu. Derealization. Revachol Special Administrative Region. Lakalo. The Insulundian Ocean. Coalition Government. Insulundian Mission Command. Name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. Truvant, the Apricot Company, World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners. See if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all thoughts. The one you truly must complete. We have some time already put into this, but I think we will stop this. And instead, we'll go to Jamis Vu Derealization. We still have 14% in the 15 Indio tribe if I do care enough to continue it. Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about the lowdown. This has been informative. Thank you, Mem. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask. He turns to you. About even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Madame Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am? Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term. But won't I be lazy if I don't do it all now? Of course not. He shakes his head. You're already diligent for getting this far, and diligent boys remember where they left off. Indeed, I am always at your service. Let's do one more of these, shall we? We have a small chance for a Sprit de Corpse. It's a white check? We could always try that again. Let's try one of these white checks, everyone. And then we'll... What time is it? And then we might take a break. Take a break, and then we might call this a session. We've been playing for like at least 30 minutes so far, I think. Alright, let's try this one. It's a 58% chance, and I think I said I at least try all 58%, so we need a 7 to succeed at this. What is... It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. It isn't about you, it's about reality. Okay, so we have to put another point in Sprit de Corpse to try that again. What is this acute encephalopathy? It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out. Empathy, medium. Oh, I don't know why I said that. She conveys it in a short, cold burst, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective. Rhetoric. In case he goes down later, souring the entire portfolio. What causes this condition? Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use. It's definitely the drinking. She nods slowly. Electrochemistry. What this boils down to is this reality thing is stupid. Blow this joint, grab a bottle, and drain that shit right down your throat. Horrific necktie. Yes. And perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie. Out in the open somewhere. Volition. Wait. This reality thing is the only game in town. It's probably in your interest not to blow it. Wipe that urge from your mind and get back to reality. She stares at you, head tilted to the side with a slightly concerned look on her face. We could keep asking her all the questions, but we'll come back. That's all for now, Joyce. Thank you. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else? That's all for now, Joyce. Of course, Detective. Take care. Savoir faire. Wow. You work hard. I do? Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. I guess I do, yeah. Oh yeah, like a horse. A workhorse. For hard work. Wait. What hard work do I do exactly? Look at yourself. You're a human pediometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is a sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. I fucking ride till I die, bitch. That's just what it's like. Life and death. But you've got gills on your side, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of innocence on them. You bring in the Frank Hungries and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer. You could say I took some money from that Manana guy, too. You didn't log that in as a donation either. You don't log any of that shit in. You're a straight rider. Sure, and I got that giant novelty check from Everett. Wasn't easy getting that giant novelty check from Everett. Took some ingenuity, why can't I pronounce this now? I can't pronounce it, to get into the harbor. But you got in, and you took that bribe as hard as any cop's taken it. Oh, and then there's pawning stuff to that suspicious Roy guy. Who's this? Yeah, you're in the sales business. Shake him for shit, and then pawn it off, law officer style. I guess I made some gills, sure. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Have you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now, ask yourself, are you rich? No, I'm actually not. That's right, you work harder than anyone. You almost rode yourself to the grave and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Oh wow, we have to choose one of these answers. Okay, so, well, this is not why I'm poor. This is why this was my doing. The system is broken. There's a market for corrupt cops out there, but the immigrant cops have price dumped it. Wow. Fucking taxes, man. What would Sam say? I still don't know what Sam's political leanings are. We'll go with taxes, because that's what everyone complains about when they don't have money. Fucking taxes, man. That's right. 100%. Fucking G-Man's got jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze. Really? Every time I sneeze? Every time you wipe your ass? They got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony, one tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for that makes them ask for more money from you here. Total tax duties add up to 98% of all your money. Wow. So, if I want, this will probably unlock another thought for us. I don't know if Sam's free market, but no one yet has commented on what Sam's political leanings should be. How about I flip a coin for this? So, I've got, and this is quite, I think, appropriate. I have a $1 silver coin here. United States of America, $1, made 1978. It's a gigantic coin, one of the heavier coins here in America. It feels fantastic, and I have quite a collection of them over there. And so, I think we will flip this eagle printed coin. And if it's a eagle, we will go with free market. If it's a head, we will opt out of this. Oops. I want to also land on the table. Eagle! Alright! Well, no fucking way. I guess I'm a free market fundamentalist now. Here you go, hustler. Fight the righteous fight. Free the people. Keep it real. Keep it street. Keep foaming at the mouth. Furiously. On the tax issue. Okay, everyone. So, let's take stock of the situation. Did we get that reliably? No. So, when we finish this, we'll get an extra 70 experience points. So, I've done this before. Or rather, I've asked for all the questions before. But I will want to finish this, maybe sooner rather than later. So, maybe 2 episodes from now, we'll come back and finish talking with Joyce. In any case, what did we do? So we've learned very little from Joyce. We learned a little bit about wild pines, what they are, how they work. We've learned a little bit about the union, what they're asking for. I guess a greater control of the company. They want every single member of their union in order to have a say in union business. I don't think that is a good idea at all. I don't think Sam would agree with that either. Reminds me of... You guys ever play a game called Anachronox? There was a planet there called Democritus. And it was a pure democracy. Everyone voted on everything. And they couldn't get anything done ever. Because you had people who had no business giving their opinion on certain things. Giving their opinion on certain things. Like, you need people who are specialized in certain tasks to give their opinion on things. Anyway, so we learned a little bit from her. We took another quest in order to figure out who is pushing drugs through this area. And, well, hopefully we'll talk with the Lorrymen. So we've got 2 Lorrymen I'm aware of. That's weird. It got really loud all of a sudden. Alright, so... I guess before we go, let's look at our stats really quick as well. We have 4 points in Superstar Cop, 1 point in Apocalypse Cop, 2 points in Sorry Cop, and 1 point in Boring Cop. We have 1 point in Communist, 2 in Fascist, 5 in Ultra Liberal. What does that mean? I think, everyone, Ultra Liberal, I think that means conservative. 1 in Moralist, 11 in Good Cop, Bad Cop, 1 in Honor. We've killed 3 people, 216 cases solved, and 18 years of service. Good for us. And I guess we'll stop here. So when we come back, I guess we'll be talking with the Lorry folks, trying to see, well, what they're up to. I'll see you guys then. Take care, everyone. All right, what they're up to. We'll take a look and see if we can figure out where the drugs are coming from. I'll see you guys then. Take care, everyone.